Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Wednesday the 12th of February. I'm Anne-Marie Case-Miller. Whether you're a beginner who's only just come off training wheels or an expert who rides the roads with ease, the Avantidrome Rev Cycle Festival has a race for you. It all takes place on Saturday the 22nd of February and is organised by U Leisure. General Manager Kevin Andres explains how the Rev is shaping up.
That's right, it is only weeks away. There's been huge interest in this year's event. It's really neat. We're getting record entries, we're trending higher than we ever have, and our team at the moment are putting the finishing touches on all the good elements of the event. So yeah, we're really looking forward to the day.
The Cancer Society's second biggest fundraiser, the Relay for Life, takes place in Hamilton on Saturday the 1st of March and sees teams made up of 10 or more people walk around a course at Ag Research, relay style, for 22 hours. All funds raised through the Relay for Life stays in the Waikato Bay of Plenty region, and team captain Nikki Van Praag has some advice for anyone thinking about entering a team.
Well, I think you should enter. It's a really good opportunity to bond with different people. We, as a hospital, we wanted to enter a team because we deal with a lot of cancer patients, and a lot of the staff have been touched by cancer, and it's just a really good team bonding exercise.
Visitors to this year's Campercare New Zealand Motorhome and Caravan Show at Mystery Creek Event Centre will have the opportunity to give something back for charity. The show has announced the introduction of a new quick-fire raffle where every hour their nominated charity, the Lions Clubs International, will be outside one of the show's exhibitors' sites selling tickets and spinning the winning wheel. All proceeds from the quick-fire raffle will be donated to the Waikato Bay of Plenty Lions Cancer Lodge through Lions Clubs International. The North Island Campercare New Zealand Motorhome and Caravan Show will be held at Mystery Creek in Hamilton from Friday the 28th of February to Sunday the 2nd of March. Let's take a look at the weather for the Waikato now. Hamilton can expect a high of 22 degrees on Thursday with a mix of cloud and sunshine, down to a low of 13 overnight. And Tauranga has a similar day in store weather-wise, a mix of cloud and sunshine, still warm though, 24 degrees expected with a low of 15 overnight. Just ahead on Central News, Matthew Cooper on the Waikato Sports Awards. Welcome back to Central News. The Brian Perry Waikato Sports Awards were held last week in Hamilton, with winners covering a cross-section of sports. I spoke with Chief Executive of Sport Waikato, Matthew Cooper, about the importance of the regional awards. Tell me about the large cross-section of sports that were recognised at the Waikato Sports Awards.
Absolutely. I mean, the nominees, I mean, we've had shooters before, but I know that, you know, BMX has been on the growth big time as well, and, you know, triathlons coming through as well, but it was all from different parts of the Waikato region down to Taupo. We also had someone from Waihi, I think, was involved, a team, so it really covered nicely that it wasn't just about Hamilton based, and it probably wasn't just about rugby or cricket.
Cambridge BMX had a great night. They took away Lodge Real Estate Club of the Year. Tell me about that. Yeah,
outstanding club. I mean, they've had a real vision. You know, I think the first thing they wanted to do was have Holden Nationals, and they wanted to build a track, and that's what they did. They went and built a track. They're all volunteers out at Leamington, and they've built this outstanding track. They've linked up with the Avantidrome, so, you know, BMX is part of the whole cycling mix. But a lovely group of volunteers. The coach and the head coach there, the administrators, are just good people. They work and they are financially viable. So there's a lot of good thought going on for Cambridge BMX, and that's when they stacked up against some very good clubs. Hamilton Marist being one of them. But in the end, you know, when you look at the whole criteria around financially viable, a good plan, vision for the future, all those things ticked a lot of boxes, and a really exciting club and run by very good people.
And the Lodge Real Estate Coach of the Year came from the same club.
Yeah, it's a good story too. I think a couple of years ago, he actually broke his back, and so he's come back from a really bad injury. and he's just developed so many stars, so many young players, some cyclists coming through in the BMX. A special person who, his athletes respond to him and they are winning, and so he's doing something very good there. The club's a very good example, good model for other Waikato clubs.
Moving forward for 2014, what Sport Waikato got planned?
Well, we've got our business as usual. We've got our programs. We've got our programs not only in sport but in activity. We work with doctors around green prescriptions. That's our core, and we're going to keep delivering on that. But exciting is the Waikato Regional Sports Facilities Plan. So this region now, with Sport New Zealand's help, is developing a plan around facilities, around pools in the future, around indoor court and outdoor space. So really big piece of work which we're delighted to be leading.
The Tauranga Women's Refuge is focusing on children and their healing after they have lived with domestic violence. Hilary spoke with the children advocate Amanda Gervin about their new program and whether children feel they are betraying their parents if they break the secret.
Once we've taught them that it's not their fault and they are never responsible for adults' behaviour, it comes quite easily. I've created a safe space for the child in order for them to disclose to me. I have a rapport with the children, and a lot of these kids really have been waiting to talk to someone about what's been happening at home in an honest sense and not freak that person out. As far as betraying their parents, I don't really think that they feel that way. Their parents have to be on board for them in order to do the program, otherwise it's just not safe for them. And the parents are really supportive of the children disclosing and talking about what's happening because they know that they need to get it out. You just can't harbour all of that inside those little bodies, because it's no good, so it needs to come out, and the mums know that and they encourage it.
We know there is a cycle to abuse, but do children often display violent behaviour earlier on?
Oh, definitely. As I said before, all behaviour is learnt behaviour, and if that's all you've seen, then that's how you're going to behave. I think usually around 3 years old is when they start to really show aggressive traits. And if that's not caught in time, sort of before they're 12, then it's something that is pretty much irreversible. It's really hard to reteach that, because that's what we do, that's what I do here, is it's reteaching, it's unlearning all of that negative stuff and then reteaching other ways to live.
We can't give up on those people that are 12 years and older. Are there programs in place now?
There are other programs that are starting to come out into high schools, like the He Loves Me Not program, which the police are rolling out with the Sophie Elliott Foundation. I'm really excited about that program. I think it's going to be fantastic in teaching teenagers how to have healthy relationships. Of course, it's never too late for anybody to make changes in their lives, but it's a lot easier when they're smaller.
If you or anyone you know needs help, you can call 0800 2REFUGE or the crisis phone on 07 541 1911. Coming up next on Central News, we get heart fit and go tropical at the Hamilton Gardens. Welcome back to Central News. One New Zealander dies every 90 minutes from heart disease, and this week is the Heart Foundation's National Appeal Week. Hilary spoke with a local advocate about heart health.
Welcome to the program, Charmaine.
Thank you.
Contributing factors to heart health, what are they?
Well, there's quite a few small factors you can include in your lifestyle, because part of it is lifestyle. One of them is cutting out smoking if you're a smoker. Exercise. Exercise is to be done 30 minutes a day, preferably 30 minutes a day, but it's consistent. I know some people say, oh, I've got a lot of stairs in my house and I go up and down them every day, but it's you get up to the top and then you're stopping, or you're coming down and you're stopping, or you're working in the garden, but the 30 minutes needs to be something that's consistent in that length, and you've got a slight raise in your pulse rate. That's what's important. Eat a balanced diet. No fish and chips. Cut down on the salt intake, and because many people who have heart conditions have got diabetes, it's quite often a follow-on. The sugar content in your diet, well, for the diabetes factor, it's got to come down, so it's better for your heart. Keep within a healthy weight range, and you can get that usually at a chemist or a medical centre. They've got the proper scales, and visit your doctor or practice nurse to try and get those cholesterol checks done. You do have to go and get a blood check for that.
Is that part of the Heart Warrant of Fitness?
Yes.
So what else is part of that Warrant of Fitness?
Well, the Warrant of Fitness is the checking up, going to the doctor and having them get the correct diagnosis for what you've got. They can do it accurately, and the blood test is the bigger thing.
So diabetes puts you more at risk of cardiovascular disease. What other factors can put you more at risk?
Having rheumatic fever, having had, because it's usually when you're younger, having had rheumatic fever can put you in line for cardiac, maybe not for 20 years, but it will have an effect on your heart.
And it's quite scary because that is on the rise in New Zealand.
Yes, very much so.
Males or females more at risk?
Well, males earlier on, females up to the menopause, it's hormonal. They're not quite sure totally through research what is the reasoning for that. But then after the menopause, women become more susceptible, and the men have a slight drop, but it becomes almost even. So that's round about 60, 65. It sort of balances up.
It's quite interesting.
But then the young ones, there's no knowing, because the younger age are getting so many more that are having heart events at a younger age.
Keep an eye out for the Heart Foundation's bucket to help with funding research, or visit heartfoundation.org.nz. Keeping tropical plants alive and thriving in the Waikato climate sounds like a complex task. Hamilton Gardens director Peter Sergel says the tropical garden concept is relatively simple.
Well, it's pretty simple. It's just that garden fantasy of growing the wrong plants in the wrong climate. So it's a bit like a alpine garden in England or a English flower garden in Las Vegas. It's the same sort of thing. In our case, a tropical looking garden in a Waikato climate.
Now, it contains a sprinkler system which is activated when it gets too cold. It can turn on and off. Tell me about that.
Well, it's just a low-level sprinkler that's got a temperature sensor on it. So when the temperature in winter gets down close to freezing, the irrigation comes on and stops the plants freezing. And a lot of plants like the bromeliads will die if we don't have that protection.
Tell me about the materials used in the tropical garden. Were they new or recycled?
Well, most of it's conventional, but wherever possible we use recycled materials. Some people might remember the old igloo at Inniscommon. That was being pulled to bits, so we got the big pipes from that, and they used about a dozen of them to grow bamboos in, so they stopped the bamboo spreading. You can have interesting bamboos that normally you wouldn't want in a garden because of the spreading. They were pulling out palm trees in the corner of Bryce and Barton Street. So we took them down here, and we've had people donate cycads and orchids from their private gardens. So there's quite a bit of recycling.
It's a real community involvement.
Yes, there's been a lot of fundraising. The Friends of the Gardens have car boot sales and fetes and things to raise money. And then the Hamilton Gardens Development Trust has been getting sponsorship for the garden. And
vertical gardens are very popular. Are they hard to maintain?
Well, they're interesting, but they're quite expensive things to make. It's that challenge of keeping all the little pockets, all the plants watered all the time. It's harder than pot plants, so it will be a challenge, yeah.
They say work is never finished in a garden, and this is probably especially true at Hamilton Gardens. What's next on the agenda?
Well, we've now got the funding in place for the Tudor garden, and that's half complete at the moment. And soon, well, in a couple of months, that'll be closed up to the public while we have a construction phase. And we've still got to build a pavilion, Elizabethan wall and an arbour in that, and we're hoping to open it in November.
Are Hamilton Gardens affected by water restrictions?
Well, we're very lucky, really. We're going on to LET 2 now. But Hamilton Gardens pumps their water directly from Waikato River. We have a consent to take so much water each year. So fortunately, right through these dry periods, we can keep watering.
After the break, a new independent political party, and Bike New Zealand enters the Avantidrome Rev Cycling Festival. Welcome back to Central News. Brendan Horan has plans for a new independent political party. Hillary spoke with him last week to find out his policies.
So this independent coalition party, what's your major policies?
Common sense and a massive dose of it. Look, openness and transparency. First and foremost, we have to have a long-term economic plan, one that operates in the absence of secrecy. And people say, well, what do you mean? Well, I say to people, well, what's our economic plan at the moment? So we need an economic plan with long-term goals, mid-term goals, short-term goals, so that all New Zealanders can see it and go, you know what, we agree with that. We know why we're taking the hits, why it hurts right now, but we're going to get the benefit over here. This is where we're going, as a nation, all together. It's pretty simple, really. Another one is digital awareness and long-term planning. You know, where is the planning for 2020? Where are the educational programs to take our children and the tools for our teachers to take not only our children, young people, workers and business owners into 2020? We have something happening at the moment which is ultra-fast broadband rollout. Ultra-fast broadband is the next super industry. It is going to change the way we live. The world is going to become a smaller place, and New Zealanders need to be prepared, ready to operate in this new industrial internet. You know, we're going to have 3D printers. At the moment, they're building a 3D printer in California that will build a house. So I imagine that in 2020, when 75 billion devices will be connected to the internet with over 6 billion users, 3D printers will become commonplace. We may have them in our homes. So it's going to change manufacturing, it's going to change retail as we know it, and New Zealanders need to be ready. In New Zealand, we've got a terrible habit of only looking 3 years ahead, because that's when we have our general elections. That's when we have our local body elections, every 3 years. Well, we need to change that. We need to change the perceptions, and we need to start looking long term and preparing New Zealand for 2020.
Governing not just for your term.
That's right.
Just quickly, yes or no, asset sales?
Well, they've already done. Well, there's not much left to sell off. So I'm afraid, look, my stance is that we need to become far more self-sufficient. We need to be treasuring what we have in New Zealand. And, you know, you have to look at the economics of it. What people don't realise is when you sell something for, and you make, say, $2 billion out of it, it doesn't carry much weight if you're borrowing $1 billion a month, as this government has been doing.
Deep sea oil drilling?
I'm dead against reckless oil drilling. And if we have a look at what's happening at the moment, you've got a new boat out there doing fracking at amazing depths. Surely they should have practiced first in shallower water so that you just get the machinery right for a start. But where is our clean-up capacity? The New Zealand oil response is 4 8-metre aluminium dinghies. We can't clean up any oil from deep water. And if we look at the RENA, the government has demonstrated that they cannot clean up oil from a boat on a rock 20k offshore. How are they going to do it from an oil platform that's digging in 3 kilometres, 3,000 metres of water? So at the moment, I'd say I'm against it.
Bike New Zealand is new to Cambridge and are wrapped with the very large contingent of elite riders that will be taking part in the Avantidrome Rev Cycling Festival next weekend. I spoke with High Performance Director of Bike New Zealand, Mark Elliott, at the Avantidrome last week.
Yeah, well, obviously the timing for a great event like this in Cambridge, you know, we've just moved our whole program into Cambridge. You know, you can just see how passionate the whole community is around cycling, and the Rev's just a great example of that. So for our elite riders to get a great event right on their back doorstep as part of preparation for Track Nationals, which is next month, is just superb.
And I understand some of the staff of Bike NZ have entered too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the key thing about cycling and our staff is we're all passionate about riding bikes, and we've got I certainly won't get my BMX coach there, but what we will, I'll be certainly on the line, and I know if we didn't have our World Championship track team training overseas, I'd have a lot more of our coaches rolling around the Rev as well.
The Rev Elite race is one of New Zealand's best premier one-day cycling races, and there's a prize purse of $10,000. What makes this race so unique?
Well, you've hit it on the money. $10,000, any rider's going to want to put that into their purse. So, I guess for our elite riders, a lot of them are semi-professional or professional, and when there's an event like this on, the first thing I want to do is obviously chase the prize purse. But then you take the event in itself, and again, I'm new to Cambridge, but what I understand, it's a massive event. It's well run, it's very well organised, and it's a fantastic course. Anywhere around Cambridge, the reason we're here is the riding out on the roads is superb. The country roads, Te Miro, Matamata, all out that way is it's world-class riding on the roads, and obviously to do an event with thousands of people, that's what it's all about. When
you talk about world-class cycling terrain, what are the components that make a terrain world-class? Yeah, well, I mean, I think for a cyclist, one, it's about safety, but two, it's about the variability of that terrain. And in our case here, we've got some really quiet country roads. Last weekend I was out riding out the Bataroparangi, saw one car in an hour. I mean, that's what makes riding here fantastic, and for our guys out training, they're doing 30, 40k plus an hour in training on a general day, so to have roads of safety is an important part. But then you want the variability of terrain. You want good climbs, nice quiet roads, good flats for doing time trialling, and we have it all here on our back doorstep. This race is also part of the preparations for the national champs later this month too. They are, and that's again, the Rev's a great build-up for our riders. They do a lot of road work and then come down and obviously specialise on the track. So the fact that they can get a good 135 or 100k race right here a month out from nationals is just spot on. That's Central News for today. Make sure you like us on Facebook and let us know your views. And if you have news, let us know by emailing news@tvcentral.co.nz. Thanks for joining me. I'm Anne-Marie Case-Miller. Ka kite anō.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.